What's up? My name is Dylan Weiss, and I want to welcome you to the first ever episode of Leadership in Action. Here at CBC, we define leadership as using our influence to make a positive change. And Leadership in Action is our show where we can spread the good news of positive change that is happening around us all the time. Here at Leadership in Action, we want to focus on the positive. The things that people in our own school, families, and communities are doing to make the world a better place. It's easy to focus on all that is wrong in this crazy world, especially here in 2020, but there's so much that is right in the world, so much good news. So let's get to it. It wouldn't be right if we didn't start this broadcast by giving a huge shout out to our 2020's heroes. So many have worked tirelessly to fight the virus. Healthcare workers from around the world, including many of our very own CBC family members. These people continue to inspire us with bravery, their dedication, and in the face of all of this, their smiles. A special shout out to our own healthcare workers, Mrs. Kristen Jeans and Mrs. Dana Maris. Thank you for keeping our CBC boys safe. Now that is some good news. While many people have changed plans for Thanksgiving recently due to COVID-19, many didn't have to, thanks to the good old Mother Nature. Here in St. Louis, she brought some good news of her own. Let's send it over to our own chief meteorologist, James Moats, with some good weather news.
It's your Chief Meteorologist, James Moats, here reporting to you live from my weather center. Even though Thanksgiving 2020 has come and gone, we still can be thankful for the warm temperatures we had, at least here in St. Louis, Missouri. Our highs were in the low to mid 50s across the bi-state region, which made it perfect weather for outdoor Thanksgiving dinners, allowing families who otherwise may have not been able to get together the chance to see each other socially distanced in person. I'm your Chief Meteorologist, James Moats, watching the weather for you as you watch the rest of this broadcast.
Hey, thanks, James. There are so many people doing amazing things to create some normal in a world that is anything but that. So many unsung heroes. One of those unsung heroes is our very own video and broadcasting genius, Mr. Gardner. Shout out. In the middle of this pandemic, where crowds have been restricted to only a few guests and family, and friends are prevented from seeing games and other events, Mr. Gardner and his incredible video production guys have put on their capes like superheroes and set out to save the day by creating CSN2, an extension of the Cadet Student Network, to stream varsity, JV, and freshman sports and other events so parents and grandparents and other classmates can watch the games that they are not able to attend this year. That's leadership at its very best. Gardner and his team were even featured on Channel 4 News. Truth be told, he's even helping us out with the video. Huge thank you to Mr. Gardner. Can't talk to each other in person? No worries. We have your answer. Podcasts. Podcasts are running wild here at CBC. First, the boys at Brothers in Prayer have started a podcast where juniors Drew Hammett and Dylan Burkett and sophomore Xander Johnson all talk about their faith, brotherhood, and the community that they have established at CBC and beyond, using their faith to make a positive change. Nice work, guys. In sports, another CBC student, Brody Herman, made his mark on the podcast world. He recently joined the Gateway Sports Venue team on their podcast to preview the upcoming St. Louis area basketball season. Congratulations, Brody. Some of our CBC grads have been making a huge mark in colleges around the nation. Congratulations to the class of 2019 graduate Elijah Robinson. His first ever touch in a college football game went for a 50 yards at the Air Force Academy. Nico Hay, also from the class of 2019, scored his first touchdown at Mizzou, and it was a big one, sealing Mizzou's first ever victory over the LSU Tigers. Nice work. Brett Gabbert continues his mastery at Miami, Ohio, lighting up Akron for 308 yards and 4 touchdown passes. And finally, University of North Carolina freshman, phenom guard, and CBC alum, Caleb Love. He has been lighting it up, including a 17-point performance in his opening game. Nice work to all these guys. In a great story of perseverance, Chicago White Sox third baseman and CBC graduate, Jake Berger, successfully battled through 2 Achilles tendon tears, fighting his way back to make his way onto the Chicago White Sox 40-man roster. Rather than giving up, Jake kept pushing, and now he has been rewarded for his efforts. We cannot wait to see this great ball player, but an even better guy, mashing up the ball in the majors next year. Good stuff, Jake. The good news doesn't just have to do with our sports, though. Our alums are doing some pretty amazing things. Our own resident cooking guru, Ryan Batliner, creator of the show Batliner Eats, made it onto the slightly more well-known Food Network show Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives. Mr. Batliner, class of 2010. That's my guy. And if that wasn't impressive enough, former class president Logan Rohr set out with his brother Bailey to travel across America, taking online school to the next level. They managed to hit 13 national parks across 15 states, covering 9,000 miles. And they even had a Forbes article written about them. This is a prime example of making the best out of a bad situation, and that is some good news. We actually got to catch up with Logan and some of his former classmates recently, as the CBC Leadership in Action class created some good news of their own. They hosted a Zoom reunion for the 2019 leadership class guys. They shared where they are today, shared some stories, and had a ton of laughs. The LIA class also took the opportunity to introduce a brand new LinkedIn page, the CBC Leadership Alumni Network. The network is designed for leadership class alums to keep them connected to the program, to each other, and to provide opportunities for career networking. While the program itself has a lot of promise, the good news was the fact that so many of the class of 2019 guys were able to reconnect with each other and reconnect with the brotherhood. Troy Sheehan was on that call, and he has this to say.
First of all, I just want to thank Mr. McGraw and the leadership class for putting together that Zoom call for us. I really enjoyed it. I liked seeing some familiar faces, taking a trip down memory lane, and telling some stories. You know, it was a great way to get an escape from the COVID and pandemic times we're seeing. And I like the idea that y'all are putting together a LinkedIn account to network to all of the older guys like myself. And I just want to let you know, good job on that, because it's a great way to keep those close ties, because you never know, I might have that job that you're looking for in the future, and I can put a good word in for you. So keep it up, boys. Hopefully I can look forward to some of those calls in the future, because I will definitely be in attendance. Thank you.
Thanks, Troy, and also to the other 2019s that joined us. It's no secret that 2020 has been a difficult year for all of us. While so many are focused on physical health, mental health is just as much of a concern. School counselors are lifesavers. Our junior leadership class has even created an initiative called Talk, where they are teaching all of our freshmen that it's okay not to be okay. To be there for someone else, and to be there to just talk about their emotions. One person who has taken a very unique but very simple approach to addressing mental health is CBC science teacher Stephanie Morrison. She teaches us all that a little empathy and willingness to listen goes a long, long way.
Sure. I'm Stephanie Morrison, and I'm a science teacher at CBC. So in my senior science classes, I allow seniors to come in and talk to me for 5 minutes about their life, and then they get 5 bonus points.
Nice. So what was your reasoning behind this whole thing?
Part of it was poor grades, honestly, and then the other part was senior year was probably one of my most stressful years in all of schooling, like including grad school. Senior year of high school was just extremely stressful for me, and having someone ask you how you're doing can be very helpful. And at least being like, what are your plans for next year? And some people are afraid to say they don't know, but I didn't know either, and I'm doing fine. So you all do fine as well.
So there was a lot of positive feedback from it. Lots of kids were very excited, and it was actually a good time talking to you. Did you really expect that, or?
I guess I hope that people like to talk to me, and it's not dreaded. But I had some good conversations with people, and I learned, some stuff that was going on in people's lives that I didn't know about before. So it's good to know your students on a personal level, as well as like how you're doing in class.
Yeah. If you had one piece of advice for students regarding like mental health and like stress, what would you say?
Well, I did not practice this during high school, but I think that I would go back and tell myself that don't stress about things you can't control. So like with college applications, like waiting for the acceptance, like it's already out of your hands, so you just have to let go of it and accept what comes, because you can't change it now. So I guess that would be my advice. Just kind of let go of things after it's out of your hands.
Gotcha. All right. Well, thank you so much. It's been a great time.
Thanks.
And thank you for the extra credit.
Yeah, thanks for being my students.
While Miss Morrison has been brightening the days of her students, something else has been brightening up our own CBC campus. CBC student Christian Vitale, a Boy Scout, and now, thanks to his CBC-focused Scout project, an Eagle Scout, wanted to bring a little light back to the iconic CBC letters that go along Highway 40. So that's exactly what he did.
If you are ever driving down Highway 40 in Town and Country, you will not miss the new, bright CBC letters. These letters have been here for many years and have a great amount of history behind them, but it was time for some renovations. So we set out to find a little more on how this project came to light. First, we decided to sit down with CBC President Michael Jordan to learn about the history and what Christian had to go through to brighten up these letters.
It was started, I would say, about 10, 12 years ago. It was an idea that was brought about, and if people know who Southside Machine Works is, that's the Jost family, who we well know because of hockey. They formed all the letters in their shop. It was brought here on site. A board member at the time who also had 4 or 5 sons here, he did the lights on the perimeter. And then another graduate, Tom Dunn at Fred Weber, he supplied the rock that went inside the letters. Okay, when Christian came to me and said he wanted to work on the sign, I go, what sign are you talking about? He said, oh, the one on the hill. I go, oh boy. What happens is, about 4 or 5 years ago, we wanted to do some work on the sign, and I reached out to Town and Country, which is the municipality we're in, the city manager, and they basically said you can't have 2 signs lit up. So it's like, oh, gee, Christian wants to do this. It's a great effort, great kid, great family project, along with a lot of his friends. And it's like I had to first reach out to Bob, who is the city manager of Town and Country, told him about what we wanted to do, and he didn't say anything about 2 signs. He basically said, I want the lights in such a way that they don't shine up. So it's like, the idea was born with Christian, his family, his friends, and all that stuff. A Eagle Scout project, as you well know, and they did an awesome job. I mean, it has been wasted. A lot of weeds around it and all that. They put, what do you want to call it, turf in there, and no more weeds are going to happen. The lights are beautiful. They're basically on one of the circuits out here for the above ground lights that we have in the parking lot. So if they go on, that means the sign goes on. So, and they're by a not a timer, what is that called? Remote sensor or whatever, when it's dark or not. So if the clouds come along, the sign lights up because it's dark or whatever. So yeah, I was so excited about it, and Christian and his group and his dad did a great job.
Now that we have gotten some history, let's head over to the main source of the project, Christian Vitale. We wanted to find out why Christian chose the CBC letters, the impact it had on the school, and what Christian got out of it with his CBC brothers and his family.
CBC Letters as my Eagle Scout project because for a while I was always looking for something. I wanted to do my project here at CBC ever since I was a freshman. But when it came time to really start thinking about project ideas, I was walking around and I saw the CBC sign. It was really unkept. The grass was up to my waist, and there was litter everywhere, hornets' nests, and it didn't really look like a welcoming place. I didn't really think that felt with the CBC environment, so I decided to, clean it up, replace the lights around the outside, cut all the grass, and make it look like a welcoming place like CBC really is. I think my project will positively affect the school just by the way that it looks. When you're coming into school and you see the lights on in the morning and you'll see the big white letters. It looks very inviting, and especially for kids that are shadowing at CBC, when they see that, it's a kind of like an invitation, like, hey, come to our school because we're out there. When it was all messy and unkept, it didn't really look inviting. It looked very dull, and it didn't project the same idea with CBC. So that's kind of how I did that, and I think that it will kind of bring character to the CBC community. The biggest takeaway from this project for me was the brotherhood. I had a lot of CBC students, a lot of seniors, and even a couple alumni from last year that came down and helped me out. And I think that shows that there are people that actually care about CBC. It's not just a school; it's a community, and I think that showed through all the help that I got, and the fundraising was phenomenal. I got a lot of support from CBC alumni, teachers, students. So thank you all for that. That was a big help, and I think that we did a good job with that, and I think that that shows that, again, this is a community, it's not just a school. I'm really thankful for, number one, my dad. My dad has been really supportive ever since the first grade when I wanted to do this. It was the Cub Scouts. He encouraged me to do it, and when I joined, I loved it, and he's always been there helping me through any requirements or any activities that we do, and then my friends as well. No matter what school I'm at or where I'm at, I always have friends that are there to help me and will support me and will continue to support me. But I'm really thankful for them, and I'm also thankful for the teachers at CBC especially. There's a lot of teachers here that support Boy Scouts and things like that, and with their support I wouldn't have been able to do this project or probably get where I am today.
Nice job, Christian. You know, we all have mentors in our lives. People who inspire us, lead us, and teach us to be better versions of ourselves. But do we often remember to tell them what they mean to us? We sent our crew out to give the people an opportunity just to do that, to say thanks.
All right, so first question, who is your mentor?
In my adult life, my mentor was a man named Gary Holzer, who was a police captain when I was a policeman.
A nun by the name of Sister Genevieve Schlarman, that she was my chemistry teacher when I was a junior in high school.
From an academic standpoint, I'd like to go back to one of my high school teachers, Mr. Evie Dunn. That was a mentor of mine.
My mentor last year was Mrs. O'Connell.
I have a couple of mentors, and the first mentors that come to mind are some of my teachers here at CBC High School. So I'm going to name a list of mentors here, like Mr. Nicoletti, Mr. Staub, Mr. Brockman, huge mentor in my life, still a huge mentor in my life today. And a lot of guys don't know this name here at CBC, but Jack Jameson, Dr. Jameson was one of my mentors as well.
Brian Haggerty, he taught government. He was right next door to me. I used to teach across the hall. I had him for a teacher, and he was a colleague, so yeah, he was the best teacher I ever had, and he's the best teacher I ever worked with.
My mentor is my mother. I'd have to say Elijah Roof and Hunter Wolger.
Mentor, no-brainer, my dad, 100%.
I'd probably have to go with my dad.
My dad for sure.
Okay, why is your dad your mentor?
He gives me life lessons, teaches me to be a better man, and I just learn from that every day.
You know, my dad's a teacher and a coach, and just watching him when I was a little boy, just growing up and seeing how he handled himself and the relationships that he built with the students and the players that he coached. I just knew from a very young age that that's 100% what I wanted to be and what I wanted to do, and I wanted to be able to have that impact on kids like he did.
Why was that your mentor?
When I was getting started teaching, she really took me under her wing and taught me how to connect with students, how to get to know students, and how to put their well-being in front of any content I might be trying to cram into their life.
He kind of took me under his wing, taught me a lot about leadership and about ethics and integrity, and paved the way for me to do, hopefully what I thought was a good job.
The way he acted with the kids, it's what you know your knowledge, know your stuff obviously, but the way he acted, he just earned respect by the way he treated the kids.
Final question, what's the one thing you would say to them that would kind of illustrate what kind of an impact they made on your life?
Thank you. If I could tell Evie Dunn thank you, I'd tell him. He's passed away. But Terry, I tell him thanks all the time.
Thank you for changing my life for the better. I guess that's a sentence, but all of these men played a major role in my life, and I can't thank them enough.
I would say Mrs. O'Connell, or Kristen as I call her. She showed me what being a teacher really was and the impact that you can have on students. And seeing older students come back to her and telling her how grateful they were to her and asking her for rec letters made me realize that teaching is something that you can have a lifelong impact on students.
They made me a better person at practice and made me a better hockey player.
Certainly I thank him, and I want him to know that he had a profound effect on my life and taught me a lot of really important skills, life skills, and I'm appreciative of that.
As we wrap up the first ever episode of Leadership in Action, on behalf of the CBC Leadership Program and our LIA crew, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for watching, and thank you for sharing your good news. Now go out and make a positive change. It's been Dylan Weiss.